What was the most NSFW experience you've had at work? I wish this wasn't a true story. We were once having a discussion at work in which we couldn't remember who starred in the action movie 30th, so I figured I would just Google the answer. So I type 30th into my Google search on my work computer, but then I take a moment and stop and think, wait, that's not a good idea. And after an nanosecond of consideration, I solved my problem by adding the word movie. I googled 30th movie on my work computer. It was Vin Diesel, BTW. Mine is much tamer. Had a coworker that used to wear fairly short skirts to work daily. Every morning she would pop by at the start of her day and sit on top of the desk across from me. Every morning I could see up her skirt, cause it was literally at eye level. Pretty weak compared to the rest of this thread. I worked overnight as a convenience store clerk when I was 20. A drunk woman came in and was thirsty, but had no money. I offered her coffee for free, since it's not inventoried, or some tap water, but she didn't want them. She wanted apple juice. She offered to flash me for some apple juice. I said sure. She went off camera and lifted her top and bra for like 3 seconds. 3 great seconds. She went and took 2 apple juices. I didn't mind. She left happy. I was happy. It was a good night and all it cost was 2 apple juices on my tab. I once had to test our antivirus, so I was tasked with infecting a virtual machine with viruses. It was weird for a net intern to be told to surf the worst of the worst porn sites. I work in a strip club as a waitress, and this one guy thought it was appropriate to try and stick his fingers into a dancer's hoo-ha. She punched him in the face, and she was berated by the managers for mistreating a customer. Unbelievable. I got on a pallet that was lifted by a forklift, that was in turn lifted by another forklift, so I could work on something up high when our cherry picker was dead. I've walked in on my boss banging the secretary on the copier. In his defense, he was married to the secretary, and it was a Saturday, when the office was usually closed. I sell mattresses and back. When I first started I had a woman come in that looked straight out of Jersey Shore. I built some rapport and, based on her needs, recommended she try a bed. Instead of just laying on the bed like a normal human being, she proceeded to climb in the bed on all fours. With her ass facing me, she looked over her left shoulder back at me and said, I feel like I could get a good FK on in this bed. Being new, I wasn't really sure how to respond, so I just said, yep, I'm sure you could. I consistently see the naked bodies of people I work with. I'm a costume designer and it's common for actors to change in front of me. I see tits daily. I once forgot to put $sign in my lookup formula. People who use public restrooms are animals. I've cleaned shit off a wall. Somebody shit in the urinal. Found and disposed of shitty panties left in the women's restroom. The toilet was clogged, and 1 or 2 people decided to shit on top of the clog. I had to help clean it, then we had to call a plumber. All of those happened when I worked at a grocery store. Please be nice to those poor employees. Found and cleaned poop on the children's playground when I worked at a zoo. I'm sure there's more memories that I've suppressed. A crazy homeless lady came into my job. I'm pretty sure she was on crack. She walked up to the counter, pulled down her shirt and said, "Is my bra strap straight?" Sadly, I saw more than her bra strap. Said this story before, so I'm just gonna copy it. I have a coworker that I became close friends with, and we both have an immature sense of humor. During boring days we would send each other weird stuff, so we always knew to use our phone and data instead of the PC to avoid hours calls. So one day I was feeling rather horny and adventurous, so I went to the bathroom and took a pic of my boobs and got out and snapped it to him. The look on his face was priceless. I had sex with my GF at the time. It was at GameStop, after hours. We turned the camera off, but it still had that fully glass front wall, which was kinda cool, I guess. No one ever questioned why the camera was inexplicably off for a period of time. The counter was super uncomfortable though. Not great to be honest, but at least it's a story. Coworker #1, I was making out with this girl and I noticed she had no lips. Coworker #2, she had no labia. Coworker #1, and I just glanced at each other. How the hell did he get there from that? Years ago a slightly drunk customer thought I was cute, and she walked away. She yelled, "You to FK, or what?" I was fing mortified. I had a coworker who had never heard of Tubgerol. I told him how hot of a photo it was, and that he should totally check it out when he gets home. Dude went over to his work computer and googled it. As I was helping a customer out, the whole store paused momentarily in response to the echoing ugh that came from the back of the store. He stormed over and gave me the death glare. I reminded him that I told him to wait till he got off work. I have mentioned it before, but I will mention it again. Mixing Dawn with bleach was standard protocol at this one place I worked. We did this in a small room with no ventilation. For the record, most dish soap has a form of ammonia as an ingredient. I used to manage a charity shop. My girlfriend at the time came over once it was closed for the day, and we spent all evening dressing up in different outfits and f***ing each other's brains out. Sex with a coworker in the office. Watching a friend masturbate on webcam during work. Blowjobs from a friend while I was on conference calls. Years upon years ago I put myself through college as a maintenance man at a public school in New York City, dated a teacher at the school, and did some NSFW stuff in the projector room above the auditorium, and the computer room, and the dark room and the photography/art room. Surprised at the lack of restaurant workers posting here. Food service is basically Burning Man. As a horny teenager working at a supermarket, I jerked off in a bathroom stall once. Worked for a catering company and this particular party had belly dancers. Well, the belly dancers needed a place to change, the best place apparently being in the back room, where I was plating salads. One winked at me. It was a good day. I had a coworker at my second job ever with Radio Shack that would offer BJS in the back room for $50. Never did though, but a coworker did. Back in my college days, I worked at a Pizza Hut as a delivery driver and was sort of dating a girl I worked with, and we would pretty regularly fool around in the walk-in. More fun than it sounds, honestly, because walk-ins get super cold. My former boss used to bang hookers in the office next to mine. These were not nice hookers, but like meth heads. I could hear and smell everything, and they would walk past my office door 30 to 45 minutes later all sweaty and stanky and act like nothing happened. The one lady only had 8 teeth in her whole head. I met her at our front gate, and she told me that she was from the bank and was here to see my boss. People not wearing lab coats or gloves when working with biohazard materials. Wear your PPE, scientists. I got a blowjob in the storage room at work at my last job. Girl had one amazing bubble butt, could suck the chrome clean off a bumper. A coworker was engaged and was talking about the cake toppers. She had no idea they made queer ones, went to a computer and googled gay toppers. Was not getting the results she expected. Was working with my mom's boyfriend at the time during summer break. He owned a glass installation business. He asked me to hand him a tool. I hadn't seen a concrete rivet gun before. Of course I pulled the trigger being an idiot teen. Of course the safety was bad, him being a cheap ass on getting things fixed. Rivet barely missed his head. Walked in on someone jerking it in the commuter's lounge. Made awkward eye contact on the way out, and they never even stopped. Haunts me to this day. We have a cleaning guy here at my work. He comes in every once a month or so to clean up the grounds and makes sure everything is clean and looks nice. Well, one day he comes over to me and strikes up a conversation, and while he is talking to me a tooth falls out of his mouth. At first I thought like, oh, that was some spit or something, or mucus maybe. He just stops talking and turns to me and says, I gotta go, my tooth just fell out. I was trying so hard not to laugh. He left and came back like 20 minutes later, told me he fixed his tooth with super glue so it was okay. Big call center, a couple hundred people at cubicles in a big open space. One guy stands up and without saying a word stabs himself in the neck with a pen. Blood goes everywhere. People run/scream/pass out. They sent us all home for 2 days. Another time, different company, worked in a big tall building. Lady jumped off the roof and landed just outside the main entrance. She basically exploded. Brains and guts all over the front doors and windows of the first floor. Rumor had it, she'd been diagnosed with cancer and decided this was the way to go. Those 2 incidents were pretty not safe at work. A woman I worked with used to walk up to me behind the service counter and fondle my DK and balls. She did this frequently while making eye contact and a wry, seductive smile. I took this as a sign that she wanted to FK and made a pass at her. She recoiled and insisted that the touching wasn't sexual but merely friendly. It's been over 10 years since this happened, and I still have no idea what the FK was up with her. When I used to work in this shoe department store, me and a coworker had some fun. It was the end of the night and the store was closed. We were the only ones on the floor as everyone else was in the back doing who knows what. We had these aisles of shoes that went up to your chest area. This chick got on her knees and gave me a BJ. This was before they installed cameras on the floor. This was my job at Pizza Hut. It was a girl's last day on the job as she was getting ready to move away. Literally last thing she did was take one of our delivery drivers, a really good friend of hers, and banged him next to the dishwasher. Our GM caught them both, fired on the spot. I came in right as she was trying to get her pants back up. While I was on a ladder with my torso above the ceiling tiles, it gave out. I instinctively tried to hold myself up by my arms and pulled down some ceiling tiles on my way down. I didn't get hurt, but I take ladder safety much more seriously now. As for NSFW stuff, not much. It was pretty awkward when an old coworker of mine made an inappropriate joke while I was doing some work under a female coworker's desk in front of her. Was asked to clean out a coworker's PC after he left for a new job. Found nudes of himself and of what I can assume were his girlfriends on the work PC. Coworker grabbed my junk in front of the shredded cheese in the dairy section on a Sunday morning when the church crowd was coming into shop. Did not enjoy. She no longer works here. Entered into a long-term BDSM situation with a coworker. She was the dom, I was the sub. What brought it all about? Rihanna's S&M song which played on the radio during a long work-related trip. Thank you, Rihanna. Fantasies came true and lasted a good 4 years. Never discovered at work, cause the woman was a quiet Mennonite good girl you'd never expect. We also had another woman in our office who was caught having sex with a policeman in the building after hours. So that deflected quite a bit of attention away from us. Back when I used to work at a major big box retailer, we had these huge racks of merchandise in the back. Normally to get TVs down you had to drag a ladder over and follow procedure. I started simply climbing them. Climbing down with one hand holding a 40-inch TV by the shitty cardboard handle. Somehow I didn't fall and die. 2 female coworkers decided to bring some alcohol to work, being as we would all be laid off soon enough anyway cause the contract was coming to an end, so FK'd why not. The Hispanic chick felt that she needed to show the black woman how to give some good head, so they decided to pass my cock back and forth in some kind of cock-sucking debate until I was properly satisfied. I worked at a golf course a few years back, and we had a gentleman's club rent one of the courses for a private tournament. Strippers were stationed at every green with drinks, and they occasionally took their tops off to celebrate a birdie, a good putt, etc. It wasn't as awesome as I thought it would be, but those pervy old bastards on the course were having the time of their lives. Now give me my 4 karma points I deserve for PARTICIPATION*. I worked at a gas station in college, managed by a husband and wife in their mid-30s. She once texted me and said she wanted to blow me next time we worked together. I never responded, and I never brought it up to her or anyone else there. I worked with a girl who I was FWB with for about a year. At work we kept it under wraps, but there was a couple of times she gave me head in the back employee/kitchen area. This was swell, but here is the kicker. We worked at a dog kennel. The area where she gave me head also had a bunch of dogs and kennels whining and giving me the sad eyes the entire time. I could never finish, so I just let her suck for a while and finished myself off in the bathroom. Mine actually happened today. Was wearing cargo shorts, got a pretty noticeable boner, walked to the bathroom to wait it out so I'm not distracting others, and a 60-year-old female coworker walks by on my way, looks at me, looks down, looks back at me, smiles, winks, keeps walking. I'm traumatized. Walked into the server room to change backup tapes. Walked in on the ad manager about to get it on with one of the other staff. Just turned around and left. Later he mentioned, "Is that the usually time we change the backup tapes?" We said yes. Walked in on 2 people having sex on a desk after hours. They asked if I wanted to join them. I of course said no, that they were lucky I didn't report them, and asked them to clean the desk before leaving. Fingered a hooker at the checkout counter one night, lose virginity while still on the clock, and made out with a few chicks. Nothing serious.